God of War 1, God of War 2, and God of War 3 are some of the greatest video games of all time. Steve Caterson helped make all three of them. He was art director on the first one, producer on the second one, and senior producer on the third one. I got the chance to speak with him and I asked him what it was like to make three of the greatest video games of all time.
It was intense. If I had to pick a word, it would be intense. I'm not going to lie and tell you it was, rainbows and unicorns the whole time, because it wasn't. We worked long hours. Things definitely got heated. They got heated all the time. When you've had 2 hours of sleep and you're trying to get stuff done and you have to get it done, but it's not good. And this person, the passion boils over. It's stressful. It's, probably the most intense I've ever done. Very, very long hours. Very, very long hours.
How long are we actually talking?
The only time I was really home was on the weekends. California is not cheap. Wasn't cheap when I was there. So in order to afford what I felt was, decent for my family, I was probably an hour and a half one way from work. So I'd spend 3 hours on the road every day going to and from work, which was brutal. It also meant that if I didn't leave the office by 11 o'clock at night, I might as well sleep there, because by the time I got home and got to sleep, I'd have to wake up within an hour. Like, I could get more sleep if I stayed in the office than if I went home and tried to get sleep. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's just not sustainable for any person or peoples.
And how did the team feel about this, especially when it came time to crunch, which is the last stretch of developing a video game where there is insane amounts of overtime for weeks, if not months at a time? And we're talking like 60 to 80 hours a week.
Can't go home until he goes home.
I'm sleeping here tonight, man. There's no hope for you. It's all over.
There you have it. I'm sleeping here tonight.
I remember a couple designers in specifically that were like incredibly disappointed and very vocal about, oh God, crunch sucks. I don't want to do it, blah, 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 blah. And then like after the first project ships and we're halfway into the second one, that same designer's going, well, yeah, but we can do this. And I remember very distinctly looking at them and going, okay, you don't think that's going to result in any crunch at all? And they'd look at me and they go, yeah, you're right. Somebody'd come in on a Saturday and they'd be very passionate about doing something. Oh, I had this idea Friday night driving home. So I came in early Saturday. I did all this work. I worked all weekend. Isn't this really cool? And I'd look at it and go, yeah, that's really cool. But you realize now that you've changed all those things, these 8 people over here have to work an extra 40 hours to change everything they're doing so it jives with what you just did. And they'd be like, oh, it's hard. Crunch is such a weird thing, right? And you can justify it, you cannot justify it.
If you have the audacity of wanting to make something great, just understand that there is a good chance it's going to be
very, very rough. But, I don't know. It's one of those things. If I knew what it was going to be like going in before I would have done it, I don't know. I'll tell you, if I knew before it all happened, it would have definitely been okay, I would have had to think about it kind of thing. It wasn't like and it's all positive, right? But it's still the commitment, the hours, I even didn't get a good sense as to what that was. My wife tells me about how, my kids were growing up. I wasn't there.
The obvious question then is it worth it?
That's tough. Is it worth it? I think it's a gamble. In my case, yes, it was worth it. But it was a gamble. And the reason it was a gamble is because we were successful. I know a lot of people that do the same amount of crunch that we do, or more, and the project gets canceled, or the project's a complete failure. Then is it worth it? I don't know. If it works out like it did for us in our case, that all 3 times we did it, and 1, 2, and 3 were all very, very successful, I'm incredibly grateful for that success. But there's no crunch didn't guarantee that success. Did it contribute to it? Probably, but it didn't guarantee it. So to me, crunch is a gamble.
But wait, I thought hard work is what makes you successful.
I've had plenty. I've had games canceled on me as well. There've been things that haven't shipped, and there isn't really a definitive, this is what caused it not to ship or not to be successful. I've shipped games that just, nobody no waves at all, right? And I put the same amount of passion, same amount of time.
This is not to say that hard work isn't important. Hard work is a prerequisite for success, but it does not guarantee that you will get it.
Yeah, there are elements in the formula, right? You got talented studio, great idea, super good marketing plan, money, budget to make the product, budget to market the product, the right visibility. That all those things are necessary. But you could still have all those things and have a complete failure. There's that luck factor. If you get it and all these other things line up, lightning in a bottle.
But what if you don't catch lightning in a bottle? Is it still worth it? Yes. In a moment when things don't go your way, it can feel like all of that hard work was for nothing. But over time, it means everything. There's a saying that every failure brings you one step closer to success. And that is because if you've put everything you have into a project and it still fails, you will have gotten better. And if you keep doing that, no matter how many times you fail, eventually you'll get a lucky break. And because of all the hard work you've put in, you'll be ready to make the most of it. While I didn't ask Steve this, and in hindsight, I really wish I had, I would put my money down that the lessons he learned from his failed games is what allowed him to make the most of his opportunity making God of War. Hard work does not guarantee your success, but it is what will put you in the position and prepare you to make the most of your lucky breaks.
I'm out to make the best game possible. The amount of time and effort and energy and life that I've put into these things, I don't get it back, so you might as well do it right.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and if you want to listen to my full, near 2-hour-long interview with Steve, you can find it in Season 3 of the Artwell podcast, where I studied the making of every single God of War and shared everything that I learned with you to help you become a better creative. You can find Season 3 of the Artwell podcast on Apple, Spotify, or the link in the description.